Hi, welcome to the small shed. This week we're back on the Morrisons bench. See you in a minute. Okay, so having got the back vertical pieces cut and prepared a couple of weeks ago, it's time to move on to the top and bottom rails of the back piece. I've just made a start. I've marked the middle section and I'm going to be going left and right from that, and essentially I've taken them out at the moment with the first level of cut with the router and the little jig that I made, and that's giving me the right spacings and everything. All I need to do then is to drill out the holes. I'm just hogging the material out first to take most of the work out of it. When I've taken it down to the right depth, which is I think 25 millimeters, something like that, yeah, 25 mil, I'll take the hogging out holes down to 25 mil, and then we can do away with the jig and run off this outer section here, and that'll deepen all the holes out. So I'm hoping it won't take too long. It's a bit messy, but that's the aim today, to get this lot out to the right depths, all put together. Not well, maybe I get it glued up, I don't know, we'll see. Okay, so that's got the first pass on all the holes in the top rail, and that's a classic example of how spending, I don't know, an hour probably making a jig like that will just save hours later on if you've got a big repeat sort of operation to do. I've just gone down this whole length, there's 17 holes in here in less than half an hour, and I've been messing around with putting dust extraction on it and all sorts because it was making such a mess. So it's a much quicker way of doing it. I'm just going to do exactly the same now on the bottom rail, which is smaller, and then I can go in deeper and get the full 1-inch cavity out once I've got this one done. Alright, and just over half an hour, it's 35 minutes since I did the other one. I've got the whole of the bottom rail done as well, and that included setting it out, so it's much quicker than I thought it would be. This is much easier than the slats, getting those done. So now all I've got to do is put the longer bit in and essentially now run the bit off the same template but going down to the full 1-inch depth. But we've got it well on the way now. Right, that's the first one taken out to the full depth. That gives me a nice, yeah, I'm happy with that as a joint. Just carry on now and repeat all of that, but we've done most of the work, I think. Well, that seems to be working well enough. We've got the first 2, 4, 6, 8 done. That's just over well, it's a quarter of the mortises, it's half of this bottom rail done anyway, and they're all lining up pretty straight, I think, with one another. And I've think they'll just need gluing up then. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. The top of the back, I was originally going to assemble everything and leave it as it is so that I can clamp better, because you'll have two parallel faces on the top and bottom rails. However, I've decided that with stakes that high and the bottom rail as well, you're going to end up with an awfully big lump of timber that you've got to either get through a bandsaw or something to cut that shape. So it's going to be pretty awkward, I think. So I'm going to mark the top and cut it first, and then I'll just have to use the offcuts as clamping cauls to help me when I come to actually assemble all the slatting on the back. So the next question is, it needs to be just a straightforward arc right the way across from one side to another. I know roughly how wide the bench is going to be now. I've got my centre line there. So with another 40mm, which is I think, yeah, 45mm, that's to the end. That means it's going to be 790 to the centre line. I'll probably make it the 800. I can always trim it if I need to. So it's 1600 wide, which with two sort of basically 100mm, 75mm chunks either end will make it up to about the 1.8 that I wanted for its width. So we've got a 1600 wide, and I want it to come down probably to about there with the curve over that distance. So that will be a drop of, I need to leave enough to attach it, I suppose. I'm going to try it at 60mm drop. Now what that means is I can go away now with the wonders of the internet and not have to worry too much about working anything out. You just go and look up for a calculator of a chord of a circle, because effectively we've got a chord that's 80mm deep, 60mm deep, sorry, 60mm deep, and it's 1.6 across. And that will give me the radius that I need, and then we can mark this thing out on the floor or something with a right angle through the centre line, long piece of string, and get that chord marked out, and I can cut it on the bandsaw when it's slightly less difficult to handle than it will be with the whole of the rest of the back assembled. And as if by magic, that gives me 5.36 meters radius. So that's done all the work for me. I can take that along to the shed and get, if I put a 5.36 meter radius at the top, that should bring me down about 60mm at the end. Right, so that's the very last hole done, and hopefully they are still as accurate as they were at the start. They are. So I'm ready now to do a dry fit on this and actually see if the two halves go together properly, and then we can take the top piece off to mending sheds and get this arc cut on the top. Yeah, it's a bit of a struggle to get it together, but that seems to work okay. It may well be a bit of a job to get the gluing up done, because it's going to take a minute or two to get all those bits lined up, but wow, it's heavy. It's heavy, I know that, but we now have a back which is pretty solid in its own right already, even without any glue. So I'll whip this apart again now and get ready to get this top cut. But that is coming out much better than I'd hoped. So it's time to glue this up now. I've been putting it off for several weeks now with the excuse that the weather's been too cold to get the glue to set properly. But in reality it's because I've been a bit sort of overawed by the thought of gluing up 38, is it, mortise and tenons. I had a thought the other night that actually if I were to put the whole thing together and only glue the bottom half but still clamp it all up and let it go off, I could then take the top off and everything would stay in exactly the same place, and I could glue the top half up, so it would make it a little bit easier, I think. I'm probably overthinking it, but I really don't like the idea of, particularly with the PU glue that goes off reasonably quickly, starts foaming up. I don't want to find I'm in a situation where I've got glue and mess everywhere and the thing won't go quite together properly. So that's what I'm going to do. I can't do it in the shed because at the moment the bench is full of worsted 7-tail cone, and there's the usual chaos everywhere else. I need a big flat surface 6 foot long, what, 5.5, and that isn't in here anyway at the best of times, so I'm going to decant into the conservatory. It's a bit warmer in there. I've got a couple of boards on the floor to give me a flat surface, take all the clamps in, put the PU glue in front of the radiator, and the only other thing I want to do is to take the individual laths, because I'm using the PU glue and it's a bit messy. I'm going to actually mask around the bottom and the top of each of these staves like that, just to keep it under some sort of control. And again, right, moment of truth. Got them all set out as I want them. Just going to run along and put bit of glue in the base so that we can get a foaming up underneath to fix them all in. There shouldn't be a great deal of clearance in there. There's only about 1mm in there, I think. I want to get enough glue in to make it work, but I don't want to put too much in so that it's going to squirt out everywhere. Right, that's got the glue up done, and that's one of the biggest sort of mental obstacles I've had for the last 2 or 3 months actually. I've been dreading doing that, and in the end it worked out okay. Leaving it to go off now for a day or two, but hopefully that'll be ready to clean up and we can get on with the bench. I hope the video was of interest. Look forward to seeing you next time. We'll be doing something different. See you then. Bye!